Unfortunately, as the people of Noah rejected Noah, we too have rejected Allah's divine warners in the presence and work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And the condition of society shows that. Now, over the last 80 plus years of hearing the divine warning of both men combined, evil and rebellion have only increased and intensified. Now let's continue with the next several verses from Surah 71 regarding Noah. And Noah said, "My Lord, leave not of the disbelievers any dweller on the land. For if thou leave them, they will lead astray thy servants and will not beget any but immoral, ungrateful ones." Now, this is a big petition that Noah is making to Allah. He's essentially saying to Allah that the disbelievers who have rejected the divine warning, which in that case was most people, because Noah only had his family and a handful of others that escaped the flood. And according to the prophecies, not many will escape this day. Well, Noah's request, in his request, he's telling God that these disbelievers will only produce offspring that disbelieve, and that the disbelief of these offspring will be more intense than their fathers or forebears. In other words, they will be worse than their parents. And today we have to admit that what we see coming from generations today is worse than we've ever seen it. Now, Noah's request that God destroy all the disbelievers speaks to the law of genetics. That's part of where we want to go. Generally, we know that physical and behavior traits are passed through the genetics. We already know that. You give a birth to a child, that child resembles the physical traits of its parents, father and mother, but also some of the behavioral inclinations, because both are constructed of knowledge and of thought. And that's the danger of being in a world of falsehood and accepting false concepts. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sheds light on this subject through his teachings on the origin of this world. Now, in his book, Message to the Black Man in America, he states regarding the making of the Caucasian people, as well as the brown and yellow races, the following. The history or future of Mr. Yaqub and his people was in the nation's book by the writers, the 23 scientists of our history, 8,400 years before his birth. Now, according to our knowledge of how we produce history, there are 23 that actually do the writing, and the 24th is Allah, the supreme being who acts as judge. He decides what he will permit to unfold in that 25,000 year cycle of time. Now, what does this mean? This means that the Caucasian people were never the real shot callers. So while black people and others, but namely us, want to go and petition and beg Caucasian people for justice, freedom, equality, opportunity, well, they're not the real shot callers. They were made for a purpose, and that purpose was to deny you everything and me everything we're begging them for. That's why we're still begging in 2019, getting ready to go into 2020. Now, in the current 25,000 year cycle of the time of the original people's history, this current 25,000 year cycle, Yaqub and his people were allotted 6,000 years to rule in wickedness, which they have done. In their time, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, expired in the year 1914. And we're just dealing with the residue and fumes of their wickedness. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad continues to inform us how Yaqub's teaching went into the genes in the genetics of the races. He states, Yaqub's aim was to kill and destroy the black nation. He ordered the nurses to kill all black babies that were born among his people by pricking the brains with a sharp needle as soon as the black child's head is out of the mother. He continues, there was no good taught to them while on the island. By teaching the nurses to kill the black baby and save the brown baby so as to graft the white out of it, by lying to the black mother of the baby, this lie was born into the very nature of the white baby. And murder for the black people also born in them or made by nature a liar and a murderer. Now, well, here in America, the original people have been under the teachings and influence of Yaqub through his synagogue of Satan. Again, the families charged with continuing the teachings and plan of Yaqub. Well, what has been the result of the dominance of this falsehood on the original people? It has been the saturation of the earth with falsehood, combined or accompanied by robbery, rape, murder, exploitation, and unfathomable atrocities due to the immeasurable hatred of human beings one towards another. The self-hatred of black people manifested in black on black crime and murder means that hatred that Yaqub put in his races and in the Caucasian people specifically has affected the genetics of black people. So when we discuss so-called institutional racism, we need to know exactly what we're talking about and who's responsible. Now, through the synagogue of Satan's mass media system, again, television, movies, and the filthy music that's out there, each generation born is genetically more inclined to embrace and exude immorality, hatred, and the disrespect of human life. Again, Noah wanted God to destroy all the disbelievers because you're only going to produce offspring that's 7 times the child of hell than the disbelievers that God intends to destroy. Now, this is verified in the Bible, what I'm saying, in these words. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every evil or every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Meaning it's getting worse. Progressive evil is what we're dealing with today. The evil today is far more worse than it was 10 years ago, and certainly far more worse than what it was 100 years ago.